Welcome back. We got Big D over here,
and Fat E,
and we are the Endzone
Endzone Enthusiast.
Enthusiasts. So today we're going to be talking about a couple games. We're going to talk about the Florida Miami game, Auburn versus Oklahoma, about Michigan versus Nebraska, and Missouri versus South Carolina. So let's get into it.
Let's go.
Okay, so Florida Miami. The Florida Gators play the Miami Hurricanes at Miami. We haven't had the best season so far, but we were trying to be hopeful. And like I said last week, I was looking to see how the quarterback was going to do. I thought that Florida defense held up pretty well. Unfortunately, the offense was not able to deliver, and Miami did end up winning at home 26-7. At this
Yeah.
point, I'm kind of like, RIP to the Gators. We may not really watch them that much anymore. So I'm sorry.
I'm still going to always be a Gator, but letting it control my mental health may be something I stop this season pretty soon. But the game was actually a pretty decent game. Defense was really strong for a lot of the game. It really came down to Miami kind of controlling the game more so, and especially their offensive line was a big deal. They really controlled the line of scrimmage. And for Florida, they had multiple defensive line players that were out. It made it very difficult to be able to maintain the momentum. They kept the scoring pretty low for a while, but then really the second half, Miami just opened it up even more. And then really Miami was able to rush like crazy. They rushed for 184 yards on 46 attempts.
Wow.
And Mark Fletcher, I remember watching that when that touchdown, I was like, dang, that boy's good. And you don't want to give him props, but you have to give him props. And then there was a 1 yard run late in the fourth quarter that sealed the game. Florida's offense was really the rough point of it.
Yeah.
There were multiple penalties on the offensive line. DJ just wasn't in a rhythm. They were shut out on scoring in the first half. It was 13-0. And then even when Jaden Balk broke out and got a nice touchdown, Miami responded. So it just was, again, the offense was really not able to find a rhythm. And then, especially in the fourth, you've seen the defense was exhausted from having to do a lot of the work for the game.
Yeah.
And then Florida was held to their lowest total yardage since 1999. And they were 0-13 on third down conversion. So
Oh gosh.
Miami's defense knew what to do, and they created a lot of ways to keep DJ Lagway contained, and even some nice receptions couldn't stop what Miami was doing on defense. So it was a depressing game to watch, but I have to give props to Miami where it's due. They really won this game. Even though Carson Beck was intercepted one time by the Gators,
Okay.
it wasn't enough for them to really stop the momentum of Miami. So RIP to the Gators. Luckily, we won't lose this upcoming week because it's an off week. So
Right.
shout out
Yes.
to the bye week.
Winning off week.
We are going to win that bye week, and we know that Florida has Texas coming up next in the swamp, so we'll see what happens.
And I'm gonna still hold out to see if FSU will be able to beat Miami because that's a rivalry game.
And then from the coaching standpoint of Florida, I think it's kind of obvious that Billy Napier will not be the coach by the end of the season. I don't want to discount what he did do for Florida, and I think really it was kind of getting the infrastructure in place. Florida has lagged behind a lot of the SEC in a lot of ways. For instance, South Carolina had a football only facility 5 years before Florida did.
Mhm.
Like coach that's coached at Florida has talked about how they won in spite of, and there are a lot of disadvantages they had to deal with. So I have to give props to Billy because he did create an infrastructure, but I think that infrastructure really is going to be beneficial to the next head coach that comes along. I think it's obvious that Billy, when it comes to the X's and O's, the on field coaching, that's not it for him, but he really was great from a CEO standpoint of creating a really great infrastructure, but the X and O's weren't his strong point. So shout out to whoever the next coach is. I really hope they'll retain Ron Roberts. His defense is obviously that's the only bright point, and I think you have great coaches on that side. So I hope whoever comes in would actually keep some of the talent there. But even for instance, Jed Fish at Washington, who's a head coach, two of the coaches that we have on our Florida defensive staff have ties to Washington and Jed Fish. So maybe that may work in our favor. But yeah, I think it's just time for a change. And this season is kind of washed for me in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Hey, Pumpkin.
All right, so for the Auburn Oklahoma game, this is an all SEC game. Both teams were ranked. The Auburn Tigers played the Oklahoma Sooners at Oklahoma. Now, Auburn was not afraid to throw the ball into heavy coverage. I saw that many times. There was major physicalities from both teams. You had bodies crashing into bodies. And again, spectacular pass plays. This was some really great football to watch, really, really entertaining football to watch. It had a photo finish in a way with Oklahoma getting a safety as the last point scored.
Yeah.
So that was really, really cool. And the Oklahoma Sooners ended up winning 24-17.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna be a good game, and then, some of the intrigue about having Jackson Arnold, who was Oklahoma's quarterback last year, coming back with his new team, Auburn. To your point, they were able to throw it pretty good, and the receivers that Auburn have, Coleman, oh my gosh, he had a couple plays that were just ridiculous. So you knew the offense was gonna be good, but I knew coming into this game, I trusted Brent Venables' defense more than I was gonna trust Hugh Freeze' offense. He's got a lot of criticism in his couple of years with Auburn where they should have been a offensive juggernaut and they haven't been. Really, their
Mm,
defense has been the strong point. So this game was a little bit closer to seeing a little bit better production from the offense and seeing some of the explosiveness. But really, it was the defense. I think the defense got 9 sacks on their former quarterback,
dang. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jackson Arnold. And then this really, like the pressure kept Auburn from being able to have a lot of big plays. They really kind of
Mhm.
contained them very well. And then Arnold was kind of mixed. He struggled a lot with the constant pressure, but he still managed to pass for 220 yards and led the team to what I think they got a lead only in the fourth quarter. It really was a moment of just kind of seeing how comfortable John Mateer from the Oklahoma side was. This is a new team for him, even though he's under his same offensive coordinator he's had at previous stops. But you see, he's comfortable with this team. This team really loves what John Mateer is bringing to the team. There was a short touchdown run by Auburn, and that's how they got the lead. But really, it was John Mateer. I think it was a 75-yard drive and punched
Wow.
it in on a 9-yard run. It was really great to see. And like, I'm excited. I think that Oklahoma is going to be dangerous in the SEC, but also I think they have a chance to make the playoffs pretty easily. Auburn is going to be good. They're going to continue to get better. Jackson Arnold is going to continue to get his confidence under him. But I think this was just a really fun game to watch. Oklahoma showed up. That stadium is really nice. Like,
Yeah.
I'm actually excited for once we get a good coach and we get to go play at Oklahoma. I think that's going to be an exciting venue. Let's go Sooners.
Okay, so Michigan, Nebraska. This is a Big Ten game. The Michigan Wolverines played Nebraska Cornhuskers. They were at Nebraska. It was a competitive game. It was tied in the second quarter. It was tied even in the third quarter. I did notice that the Nebraska quarterback was sacked many times,
Mhm.
but their offense overall was able to deliver, especially in comparison to the Nebraska defense. But Michigan was insane on rushing yards. That's what was a big standout for me. And I was asking you, apparently they're a run heavy team anyway. But unfortunately, Nebraska lost at home 30-27.
Yeah. But to your point to start off is Michigan's defense really dominated the line of scrimmage. Michigan's defense recorded 7 sacks against Rayola, held the Huskers at just 43 net rushing yards. To what I've spoken to before is Wink Martindale is one of my favorite defensive coordinators. And again, it shows his talent. And in this game, their head coach Sharon Moore for the Michigan Wolverines was actually suspended for this game.
Oh,
So
right.
they had an interim coach handling Biff Hoagie. He was the Charlotte head coach and then just came back to Michigan. Really, it was the run game. Like you wouldn't have known that Sharon Moore wasn't there because that run game was still lethal. Their quarterback, Bryce Underwood, had a 37-yard touchdown run. The running back, Justice Haynes, broke free for a 75-yard touchdown run and running back Jordan Marshall scored on a 54-yard touchdown run. So overall, they finished with almost 300 yards of rushing, which is pretty
Yeah.
great. But Nebraska's passing offense was pretty decent. He still was able to come up with 308 yards. The biggest was a crazy 52-yard Hail Mary touchdown pass right
Yes.
before the halftime, like right before
Yeah.
halftime. It was like, okay, that boy got an arm. It was good to
He just
see.
threw it. There was like 10 guys down there. Who was gonna catch it?
Yeah, but really it came down to Michigan really took that 10-point lead late in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Nebraska scored a late touchdown to make it a 3-point game, but Michigan recovered the onside kick and they kind of sealed the victory. But I think it was a good showing for both. Bryce Underwood is a true freshman quarterback. He's going to continue to develop. He's going to continue to get better, and Michigan is going to continue to get better this season. But I think you see kind of where they're going to be. They're going to continue to rely on a great stout defense, and they're going to continue to lean on their run game. Bryce Underwood did make some really great throws during the game as we were watching, but it really came down to the rushing is what you know is going to be good. So it'll be interesting to see how they move forward. Nebraska, I don't think they're out of anything. It was a close game, it was a hard fought game. Like they don't have anything to hang their head on, but I think moving forward, Michigan kind of tells people they're going to be a little bit better. And Josh Pate even said that he's like, you thought they were going to be like a year away. They may be a little bit better right away. So I'm excited to see Michigan continue to, go forward. And then Nebraska's going to be fine. Their offense is going to continue to get better and better, and their defense is going to continue to come along. And I think you see what the loss of a really great DC, Tony White, who is now the FSU defensive
Ah,
coordinator from the, he left Nebraska to go to FSU. You see how good the defense is at FSU. And so you kind of see that there is a slight step back that they took with
mm,
losing him. But
mhm.
overall, really good game. Really enjoyed seeing Bryce Underwood and Dylan Raiola. Both of them are going to be in the NFL at some point. So it was nice to see them kind of get to duel it out now because you're going to see that into the future.
Yeah,
So good game.
good
Yeah.
game. Okay, South Carolina, Missouri. This is another all SEC game. The South Carolina Gamecocks played the Missouri Tigers, another Tiger team, and they were playing at Missouri. There was a lot of really cool plays by Missouri, including a one-handed catch by a receiver, as well as a crazy run play where this guy ran into a pile of people, but then just kind of laid on top of them and was able to stay on his feet and scored a touchdown. Missouri ended up winning, which was kind of expected because they came in ranked, but Missouri ended up winning 29-20.
Yeah, sometimes you do have to lay on top of another man to be able to get around
No,
it. So it
that's what he
was
did.
it true, but really it was Missouri's run game. Like Drink, a lot of people think he just likes to air it out, but he really is big on the running game. And I think that's what you see from some of these high power offenses in the SEC. Their run game is really the star of the show. People just don't realize it because they like seeing the big plays of the 30-yard throw
Right. Right, yeah,
down
yeah.
there. But really,
You said it wears
Missouri,
down the defense.
mhm, yeah, rushing is always going to wear them down. But Missouri ended up with 285 yards on the ground. Ahmad Hardy led the way. He had 138 rushing yards and a touchdown. Jamal Roberts, who had a really important 16-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter. South Carolina struggled with rushing. Like they
They did.
normally, you think Rocket Sanders, we do miss him being as impactful as he should be, but it's their run game really wasn't there. I think they ended with like a -9 yards for
Mm,
rushing. But South Carolina did air it out a little bit more. Lenora Sellers had 300 yards through the air and 2 touchdowns,
wow.
but the offense ended up stalling out late, and the defense was
Mhm.
able to hold them. In the fourth quarter, South Carolina had a little bit of a lead, and Missouri really mounted a drive capped by a tackle. That may have been the run that you saw where he broke the tackles,
Yeah, yeah.
16-yard touchdown, and then they got the 2-point conversion, which gave the Tigers a 26-20 lead. And then really the defense like forced 2 quick 3-and-outs. I felt bad for Lenora Sellers. I think he's going to be fine. You could tell it wasn't really his day, and he still needs more weapons around him to really be as impactful as he should
Mm,
be. But you also have to understand with South Carolina, you lost a lot of really great talent in the NFL, and you were able to kind of backfill some, but you're not going to be able to do that for all of it. And then also losing Dowell Loggins to App State was, I think, a bigger deal than a lot of people wanted to talk about. So I think they're going to be fine. South Carolina is going to end up knocking somebody off that they shouldn't. But it's interesting because DJ Lagway and Lenora Sellers were two of the Heisman favorites before the season started.
mm,
And now both of them have struggled into the
mhm.
season. But Missouri is now 4-0. South Carolina's 2-2, 0-2 in SEC play. So we'll see where they go from there. But I thought it was a really good game to watch. And I
It
actually thought
was.
South Carolina was going to have some moments, but really they came away with not enough momentum to really overcome Missouri being so efficient at running the ball. And then the defense at the end handled their business. So good game. I'm excited to see Missouri play more stout teams, but I think Missouri has a very soft schedule compared to the rest of the SEC. Missouri will probably move up in the rankings by the end of this with some of the losses that happen. But I'm excited about this next week of football. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
good.
Okay, SEC.
Yes, let's go.
Yeah, come on, mama. Yeah.
What else you got to say?
Okay. Big D, what games are we going to be watching next week or this coming up weekend?
Well, thank God I won't have to watch Gators lose. So that's already a winning Saturday for me. I'm really excited. I think it's going to be interesting to see Ohio State at Washington. Jed Fish is in the running, I think, for the Florida head coaching job once it comes available. So
TBD.
I may want to watch that to see what my possible future head coach looks like. Because Jed Fish also he went to Florida, so he's an alumni of Florida
Oh,
too.
okay.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of ties there. And he lost two of his coaches to Florida anyway. So they may have just got there early.
They got there early.
They
There
got
you
there
go.
early.
Right.
It's okay.
There you go.
So it'll be interesting what they do against Ohio State. I'm gonna be torn during that 3:30 window because at the same time you have LSU at Ole Miss, and then you also have Auburn at Texas A&M. My TV is gonna get worn out flipping so much. I'll probably have to do the multi-view and just be like, oh,
Multi-view.
squirrel. 7:30 also is going to be another one of those moments because you have possible Big Ten conference game in Oregon at Penn State,
Mm,
and then you also have some opportunity with Alabama going to Georgia, which is going to
mm.
be a big deal. And Georgia, I think this is going to be their blackout game, so everybody's going to be in black. So it's
Yeah.
going to be very. I'm kind of
Okay.
excited about seeing that because obviously we don't ever go to Stanford Stadium as Florida fans, but it'll be cool to see them black out. But those games, I think we'll probably end up watching 3 of those games, but we may be able to watch more. But if there's any games that you think we should watch, or you think maybe sleepers or surprises, comment down below. Thank you for watching us. Please give us a like, share, and follow, and just help us be able to know how we can do things better. So, any feedback we would love to hear. We want to keep you engaged. We thank you for watching the Endzone Enthusiast, where we feel football can be fun for everyone, including cats. So, I'm going to have my Citrus Slayer IPA to finish the day. This is a Voodoo Ranger one. Again, I told y'all I like that one. So I'm going to go crack this open, but y'all have a great one and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye now. Bye bye now. Bye bye.
Meow. Welcome back. We got Big D over here. Oh. We already got a bluebird, people.
I didn't even react. I was just like,